A lot of the times you go through an experience where you would talk to your clients, they will set goals, but they would feel all over the place. They would want to have some great experiences in their relationship, and they will want to make a ton more money, and they would want to have a career growth, and they would want this, and they would want that. And while all of that can be potentially achieved, as a coach, you may go, well, it's not, there's a lot of things to work on. And because of that, it may feel that as much as you want to help, the client keeps going all over the place with different kinds of goals that they put in front of you. So today what I'm going to share with you are 5 techniques that you can use with your clients to help them find their goals or help them elicit their goals. The first technique is probably the most well-known technique there is, and that is called scaling questions. Scaling questions show up in many different formats in front of us as tools. Scaling questions simply means that you have a client pick different areas of their life, or you give them different areas of their life, and then ask them to scale themselves on a scale of 1 through 10, 1 through 100, however you like, and help identify which are the areas that they rate themselves lower, and hence they would want to work on first. You've seen this technique used in popular models like Wheel of Life. You may have seen this technique also being represented in a very popular Mindvalley tool called the Lifebook Assessment. All of these tools simply are identifying some key areas that are important to you, that are important to the client, and then you're saying, okay, in this area, how do you scale yourself? Where do you see yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? And when they intuitively rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10 in a particular area, what happens is some of the areas become more dominantly challenging. These are the areas where they go, oh yeah, I definitely need to work on my relationship. Yes, I'm making money, but I'm not really passionate about it. And such things just give you a clear compass of where is it that your clients will benefit most for when they work with you as a coach. If they rate themselves lower in a relationship, maybe that's a good place to start, because it might be some very easy wins that you can create for them, giving them more confidence about their ability to transform and giving you more success straight off the bat, which will help your client also to trust you a lot more and have more confidence in you for you to be able to further that journey and help them get more and more results. The second tool some individuals love, and especially if you're working with anybody that has a technical background, they would absolutely love this model. This technique is called mind mapping. Mind mapping is simply you creating a flow chart of how things are working out for you, what connects in what way in your life. When you mind map your life or an area of your life, you see clear patterns that are occurring and recurring for somebody. And as you mind map with your client, you may be able to help them identify some clear things that are gaps, places where they end up stopping themselves, places where they see there is no progress being made, places where they have an idea but there is no action being taken. Those will be the areas that probably would be better to get started with. Mind mapping anything allows your client to dump everything that's happening in their mind into a physical form on a physical paper in a clear visual way. As they mind map the different areas of their life, as they mind map their current challenges, as they mind map what's happening for them in their overall life, it becomes more and more evident to them as to what's really happening, where the goals need to go, what's important to them. And also, as they're doing this exercise with you, you are able to identify some of these gaps. You are able to bring attention to some of these gaps that helps them then to further and really identify what the goal should be and be able to work with you on that goal. The third is one of those things that truly changed my life when I first did it. This is called values discovery. See, for most of my life, I just operated from thinking, well, this is who I am and this is what I do. And it was very intuitive. And there's nothing wrong with being intuitive. But when I discovered that I may be operating pretty much every decision in my life, every goal in my life, comes from certain values that are dear to me. There's certain things that are very clearly important to me. And if I know those things, if I am aware of my values, it makes all of my decision making significantly easier. You see, a values discovery is us helping our clients discover their values. Most of us have never really sat down and said, what is it that are my clear to-go values, values that really excite me, values that are really important to me, values that I'm inspired by, values I want to live into every day. And also, What are my away values? Away values are values that really trigger me, things that I would not want in my life, I would not want in the world, and things that would really annoy me, and things that I would not want to associate myself with at all. To know your towards values or values that you're excited about, and to know your away values really gives you a good sense of where is it that you want more energy of your life to go, and where is it that if the energy is that, like your away values are there, you want to move away from that. So say, for example, if somebody has a value of passion and purpose and meaning and love and service like I have, they may want to do more activities that are aligned with creating social good in some way. But let's say at the same point of time, they have an away value that is around politics, that they don't like office politics. They don't like when people are, nagging on each other, or they are, bad bitching about each other. Well, if they are in an office that is like that, even while they're doing purposeful work, they need to find a way to go away from that, right? So a goal may be to find a better organization that still is aligned to these to get towards values and are not really leaning into these away values. So that way you can identify a goal because of the discovery of what is important to your client, and also what really triggers your client, what is really not in alignment with your client, because you'll be able to identify areas which they're not aligned because of that. And you'll be able to see how we can turn our coaching in a way where they can move and live a lot more towards the values that they're really inspired by, excited about, and want to live on a day-to-day basis. So that's what is a values discovery exercise may look like. It will help clearly identify what goals should be prioritized, sometimes even discover new goals because you finally identified the values of a client. The fourth exercise is called the ideal self exercise. An ideal self exercise is a simple exercise where you ask your client to imagine their most ideal self. See, we all have a version of us that we hope to achieve one day. We all have aspired and thought about what would be our most ideal life. We may be living the most beautiful life, no doubt about that. But still, we have a version of ourselves that we would really aspire to. It may be influenced by society, it may be influenced by our own being, but there is a version of us. Like a version of me is funnier on camera. A version of me is even more charismatic on camera. A version of me has 1 million YouTube subscribers. And that ideal version is that ideal version. But if I tell you that ideal version, you can now go, oh, Sajid wants to be more charismatic in front of the camera. Maybe he should take a charisma training. Oh, he wants to be funnier. Maybe he needs to do stand-up comedy. Oh, he wants 1 million subscribers. Maybe he needs to learn how the algorithm of YouTube works. All of those ideal self-narrative that a client shares with you gives you a way to actually work with the client to be able to identify, oh, that's the gap that they have from their current self to their ideal self. Now, if they could define their ideal self, now you can clearly see where the gaps may be, where they don't see their current version as their ideal version. This would help you see their overall goals in life, and it'll also help you be able to elicit some goals that may be more important to them, more urgent to them than the others. So now you have a goal to chase. You have an ideal self that they want to be fulfilled. And so you could work with them to actually fulfill that ideal self. The fifth technique is a magical one. I call it the magical one because your client needs to believe in miracles to be able to answer this question or use this technique. And the technique is basically based on a lot of times we doubt ourselves and we feel we can't do things or we can't have things. And it's our own story. And when that happens, we limit what our potential is. We may not be able to answer the question of our ideal self because we may feel that it's never going to happen. We may have had failures in our life because of which we doubt ourselves. But if we give that responsibility to universe or a miracle, what would happen is suddenly everything is possible, especially if your client believes in miracles. And so the question becomes the miracle question, which is, if you were to wake up tomorrow and if a miracle was to happen, what would your life look like? And this takes away the responsibility of your client to be able to think if they can do something and set a goal, or if the goal's too big, if the goal's too impossible, and they should lean into their past and all of that stuff. It's all gone. All they're focused on is, oh, if it was a miracle, if it was just to, wave a wand and think would happen, what would that life look like? Well, now you have the true answer to what they want their life to look like. Not something that they doubt, not something they wonder about, not something that they would question almost immediately as they would say it. And that will give you some precise goals that your clients would want to achieve. Which of these techniques have you already used in your coaching sessions? Which of these techniques you're excited to try out? Share with me in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. This is Coach Ajit, and I'll see you next week.